Hey developers, how's it going? And welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to share with you how you can send email in your app, alright, using an email API. So I'm going to quickly show you the demo so that you can see if this video is worth your time. So on my left over here, I have the finished project. So it's really short, it's less than 100 lines long, and I've integrated with SendGrid API, and I've got my API keys and all that being set up. So I'm going to walk you through later, okay? And on my right, I have a simulator over here which has a text view as well as a button that says send email. So what I'm going to do now to illustrate what this project is about is to come over to a new site, and let me just get some text over here. So maybe let's just use this one here. Okay, so copy this and just paste this over here. And then I'm going to show you my email that I've just created. Sorry guys, so this is an email address that I've just created. It's called kelmobot, so it's a bot at gmail.com. So currently, as you can see, there's nothing in my inbox right now, but watch what happens when I tap on the send email button. We make an API call to SendGrid API server, and it returns a response that is successful. And guess what? Now I have an email that's being sent to my inbox, and when I tap on this, this is exactly what I have copied over here. All right, so the application for this this project is mostly, you know, if you want to it's used mostly for transactional emails, and for my use case, I'm using it to send some console logs to my developer account, you know, on my UAT apps in test flight. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to share with you how we can set up this whole thing, how we can register an API key on SendGrid, which is this guy over here, SendGrid, SendGrid.com. And but before I proceed with the tutorial, I want to show you that I have a course over here on Udemy. It's called iOS 13 and Swift 5. I did this about a year ago. And this covers more in depth of what we can use SendGrid for to send transactional emails. All right, we can create a template and really cool things over here. So if you're interested, check it out. Okay, let's move this out of the way and let's create a brand new Xcode project. All right, so come to File, New Project, and then let's call this SendGrid YouTube iOS. All right. So I'm going to just save this on my desktop now. And then I'm going to move the finished project on my left. So I'm going to use that as a reference, okay, when I build up this project, this new project from scratch, okay? So if you're interested, you can feel free to just follow along, okay? So the first thing we want to do is to register an account with SendGrid. So I've already done so I'm not going to walk you through the steps, but come over to SendGrid.com. And you can read about what they do. They are actually a subsidiary of Twilio. So Twilio is a very legit Twilio, Twlio, I believe. This is how you spell it. Oh, Twilio, yeah. So SendGrid is a subsidiary of this company, so they are legit, okay? So let's come back to SendGrid, and I trust that you're able to sign up a new account for yourself. I'm not an affiliate, so you won't be seeing any affiliate links, and they don't pay me even if you sign up 10 accounts. But I've used them before in my previous projects, and I thought that it's pretty legit, so you can consider that. Okay, so once you're done with this, let's come to the dashboard. And the first thing that we need to do is to register an API key, all right? So let's come over to settings over here, and then let's come to API keys. And I've already got one that I've just created a while ago, but I think I'm just going to delete this and show you exactly the exact steps, okay? And also inside the sender authentication, I have kelmobot being verified. So I'm going to delete this so that I can show you again the steps to doing this end-to-end, okay? So let's come to the API keys, and then let's hit create API key. I should see a model pop up. Okay, so I'm going to use full access for now. When you get more serious into this, you can maybe select restricted access, or you can fine-tune the level of access. But right now I'm going to do YouTube. I'm just going to call this YouTube tutorial, and then hit the create and view button. And now SendGrid is going to give me my API key. All right, so this should be a secret key. You shouldn't be revealing this to anyone. So please do not commit this on GitHub. Okay, but I'm going to do that, and I will be destroying the key before I push it up to GitHub. So you can use the GitHub project as reference if you want to use this implementation in your projects. Okay, so copy this, and I'm going to go to my view controller over here and just paste this inside over here first. And then the next thing I need to do is to come to the email that I'm going to use to send to integrate with SendGrid. So I have already set up this email address over here, kelmobot@gmail.com. Again, feel free to use any email you want. So I'm going to use this one over here. This is a throwaway email, so I'm going to remove this once the tutorial is done. Okay, so let me just delete everything first. And then let's come to SendGrid, and let's come to sender authentication. And the reason why we have to verify the sender is because if we don't verify, it allows people to do spoofing, all right? So SendGrid is just taking the precaution to make sure that we verify that this email belongs to us, all right? So let me just refresh this, and I should see. Okay, yeah, let me just kill this. Okay, so let's verify a single sender, and then from name, I'm going to call this kelmobot. Again, you can call this whatever you want, kelmobot. From address, kelmobot, reply to kelmobot. All right, and then for the company address, I'm just going to pass in just Singapore, okay? So Singapore over here as well. Singapore, where are you? All right, here you go. And then nickname, let's call this kelmobot. All right, here we go. Let's hit the create button over here, and SendGrid will actually send a verification email to kelmobot@gmail.com, and then I should see an email over here to verify the sender. All right, so let's click on this and verify single sender. So once this is done, let's come back to SendGrid again, and let's refresh this part over here. So currently under the verified column, it's an X. So let's hit the refresh button, and we should see a check mark. All right. All right, sweet. So this is working right now. So I'm going to paste this kelmobot@gmail.com onto my view controller as well, and then I'm going to use that as a reference later. Okay, so now let's get started with creating the UI on our Xcode project. All right, so let's go to main.storyboard, and we want to have a text view with a label to display the status as well as a button. Okay, so let's first bring in a vertical stack view. Let's drag that in the middle, and let's have the leading and trailing paddings of 24. Hit add to constraints, and I want to align this vertically. All right, so I'm going to do align in a vertically in container, add one constraint, and let's bring in those elements inside. So we want a text view, drag that in. We want to have a UI label. Let's drag that below the text view so that everything falls under the text, under the stack view. Okay, and finally we want to bring in a button. Okay, so let's use a field button so that goes under the label. All right, so it's still complaining. You see those red lines over there because we have not added the constraints for the text view. So let's just do that right now. Let's set this to the default height. Maybe let's use 128. That should be fine. And then we don't see those red lines anymore. So now we want to add some padding inside the stack view. So click on this, spacing, let's put in 24, and I think that should be fine. Okay, the last thing I want to do is to remove the text over here, and that becomes a problem because I don't really know whether the text view is there or not. So what I can do is to just add a very light touch of gray inside so we can see the canvas. And then for the status label, I just want to bring that to the middle. All right, so I think this should be fine. For the button, let's call this send email. Okay, maybe button, let's make this a bit nicer as well. So height, we can do 48. All right, so just like that. Okay guys, so let's hook up all these components inside our view controller. So let's come over here and let's bring in two IB outlets. IB outlets with var, we have the text view. So that will be of type UI text view, and then we have the status label. So UI label, just like that. What else do we want? We want to handle the button tap event of the send email button. So let's do add IB action func send email button tap. All right, just like that. Okay, let's come back to the storyboard and let's just hook up those outlets. Right click on this, and then status label is here, text view is here, and the send email button should be here. All right, so we want to select touch up inside. Okay guys, let's come back to the view controller and let's create our email service. All right, so let's come below and let's do class. Let's call this email service. We're not going to conform to anything because the purpose of this tutorial is really just to illustrate how to implement this. All right, so I'm going to use a lot of false unwrapping. I'm not going to make this MVVM or MVP. This is going to be a very simple MVC architecture just to highlight how we can implement SendGrid integration with our iOS app. All right, so now we want to create a function over here. So email service, what does email service do? It allows you to send an email, right? So let's call this send. Maybe send will do, and then let's have a message over here. So this message will be the email body. Okay, so let's create some things over here. So before that, I want to show you how I got the implementation. So firstly, if you have a lot of time, you can check out their documentation. But if you don't have a lot of time like me, we can kind of cheat a little bit. Okay, so let me show you how I got the implementation. I kind of did, there are two ways to do this, all right? So the first thing you can do is that you can use a SendGrid iOS, I think pods. There is a pod over here. There's a library over here which you can use to integrate. So you can use this library from Scott Y. So note that this is not an official library from SendGrid, okay? So because of that, I'm going to write my own implementation instead. Nothing wrong with that. I've used his implementation, his library before, but this time I don't want to, convolute the project with Alamofire and all sorts of libraries. So I'm going to make everything native, okay? So the first approach is that you can use this library. The second approach is that you can come over here and you can type in, I think it's called SendGrid iOS, and there is, oops, thinks that I'm a bot. Okay, so over here, I think, where is it? SendGrid iOS. Here, this one. Send email from iOS app using SendGrid. Oh, is this the one? Sorry guys, this is not the one. Oh, sorry guys, this is not the one as well. SendGrid Swift. Oh, here you go. This is the one. SendGrid API request in Swift with URL session. All right, guys. So I use this authors implementation. All right. So I'm going to, if you need the reference, this is the reference material, and I'll just paste this URL at the top over here. So, and I'm going to make this project available on GitHub, so you can always feel free to revisit in the future to just check it out if you need to implement this. Okay. So in essence, I'm going to use his implementation over here, the way he structures his payload, and things like that. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to create a URL request. So let's do let request. Let's of type URL request. And then let's do, okay, we have to define a few things first. So I'm going to create the API key here. So let me just cut this here and paste this here. And then we want to have the endpoint as well. So let's do let URL equals to URL string. And what the endpoint is, if you come over here, we can find that here. It is this one over here. All right, so let me just make this bigger so you can see. Just paste this inside here and let's force unwrap it. Again, I'm going to do this very dangerously, but again, in your own production app, please make sure that you do not force unwrap, and please do not put the API keys inside the view controller. Okay, so there are some places you can consider, like maybe your info.plist, or in fact even in the environment variables as well. Okay, but we're not going to do that in this video. Okay, so let's create the request. So var request equals to URL request, and let's pass in the URL, and we have to make this a, oops, just hold on for 1 second. All right, let's get back. Okay, so what do we need to do next? We need to make this request a post request. All right, so request dot HTTP method equals to post, And then we have to add a couple of values into the header. So request.addValue, and then this will be barrier. And then let's pass in the API key. And for the header field, this will be authorization, all right, just like that. And then request.addValue, for the content type, the value will be application.json. So just like that. I think this is pretty standard stuff. So I'm just gonna quickly copy and paste that. And then finally, we have to pass in the HTTP body, okay? So this is the payload. And what is the type? This is a data type. So we have to create that. So let me just hit the enter button and let me just comment this out first. And let's not forget to return the request over here. Okay, so let's do command B to build this, and I believe it should build successfully. Okay, so let's okay, build succeeded. And maybe I just want to run this on my simulator as well. Maybe let's select iPhone 13, and let's ensure that I can first build this on the simulator. Okay, so let's just wait for a little while to see if this is working. Okay, great. So I have the text field, label, and the button which does nothing at the moment. Okay, so guys, let's get back. And then now we have to create the data, which is the payload, okay? So this data will be, will come from the JSON object, or rather the dictionary that we're going to create. Okay, so let's come back to this Stack Overflow article. And I'm going to take this part over here, just copy this and just paste this over here. Okay, so in fact, I want to wrap this inside the data object. So let's do it this way instead. So let data, which is of type data. Okay, and let's just cut and paste this inside over here. Let me just space this out a little bit. And then what I'm interested in is to transform this JSON, or rather this hash, into a data type. Okay, so how can we do that? We can do return try. I'm going to force unwrap again, but please don't do that. Please don't code dangerously like me. Okay, so just like that, I think this should compile. Okay, so let me get rid of those empty spaces. Command B to build, and build succeeded. All right, the next thing to do is that we need to change some of these values inside the payload, because obviously our email is different. So the email I'm using is kelmobot@gmail.com. Again, you can use your own. Let email equals to this, and then I'm going to paste the email here, as well as the from. All right, so the sender as well as the recipient will be the same email. Okay, because you are basically sending the email to yourself. Okay, so let's put it over here. And then command B one more time to build this. This should be fine. All right, so now that I have my data being set up, I can just assign that over here. Okay. So HTTP body equals to data. All right, so now let's use URL session to make the post request. So let's come to the bottom and let's do let, you know what, I'm going to just use URL session.shared.data task publisher for request, and let's pass in the request, which is this guy over here. And then I want to catch for error if an error happens. And if an error happens, we want to return it. All right, so how are we going to return it to the view controller? What I'm going to do is that I'm going to return an any publisher. Okay, it's not showing up because we have not import combine framework. So let's do that right now. Combine framework. Okay, and then if this is successful, then I'm going to return a boolean. If it's a failure, I'm going to return an error over here. Okay, so what's going to happen is that under this catch block, I'm going to do return fail error, pass in the error, and then erase to any publisher. All right. However, if it fails, however, if it succeeds, I'm going to map the output. Okay, and I want to check what the output is. Okay, so maybe let's see what the output is. Okay, so the output will either be a data or a response. Okay, so I'm not really interested in the data. I want to check the response if it falls under the 200 range. So if it's within 200 range, we know that it is successful. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do let status code. Okay, so I'm going to get the status code out of the response. I have to do it this way: output dot response as http URL response dot status code. Okay, so notice right now that this is an optional. Okay, so there's some casting involved, which means that status code will be an integer optional, which we don't want to deal with. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to default this to 0 if for some reason we can't get the status code out, and we only want to check whether status code is inside the 200 range. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to return that status code must contain within those range status code. Alright, just like that, and then let's do erase to any publisher, and let's not forget to return this, okay, because we are returning this object over here. Alright guys, I hope that this is easy to understand, and let's do command B to build, and let's see. Alright, build succeeded, great. Alright guys, I hope that you are not too confused yet, but if you are, it means that you're learning something. Okay, so just stick on with the tutorial. Alright, so we have created this email service now, and then what I want to do is to implement that inside the view controller. Okay, so let's come over here to the top. Let's do private let email service equals to email service. Let's initialize this. Again, this is no protocol, this is a concrete object because we just want to get the implementation out. Okay, and then since we are using combine, we are definitely going to use the cancelable, so let's just set that up now so that we can use that later. Alright, so what do we want to do? We are only interested when the email button is being tapped on. Alright, so what do we want to do? We want to first check whether there are any values inside the text view, and we want to make sure that it's not empty. Alright, so let's do guard let text equals to text view dot text, and then we want to make sure that text is not empty. Okay, if it's empty, then we are just going to return it. Okay, we're not interested to proceed further. Okay, so now that we know that the text is not empty, we can call email service to send our message. So what is this message? This message is a string, and this string comes from the text over here. Alright, so we know that this is of type any publisher. Okay, so we are going to call the sync method, and then over here, this is when we are going to check for error. Okay, so if case dot failure let error equals to completion, which means that an error has occurred, then you know what, we are going to print out this error inside the status label over here. Alright, so status label.text equals to error.localized description. Okay, so this receive value, this is when it is successful. It means that we receive, it's not really that it's successful, it means that we receive status code which falls under 200 to 400. Alright, so is successful is a boolean, so we can, sorry guys, go on. Sorry guys, I'm back again. Alright, so if it's, we want to check this boolean whether it's true or false. Okay, so we're going to reflect that inside the status label. So again, status label dot text, let's check whether if is successful is true or not. If it's successful, then we're going to say sent successfully, and then maybe we can add something happy, you know, maybe like I don't know, like a good. Alright, otherwise we're going to say something went wrong, and then let's add maybe a sad face, just like that, to spice things up a little bit. Okay, so now it's going to prompt us to add the self because this is inside a closure, so we're going to just add the weak self to avoid a retain cycle, like that. And we want to do it over here as well. Okay, and the last thing we want to do is that we want to make sure that we are doing all the UI updates inside the main thread. Okay, and the way to do that is to call received on, I believe. Is it? Oops, sorry guys, incorrect. I shouldn't be doing it like that. I should be doing it over here. Alright, so received on dispatch queue.main. Okay, so let's run this and let's see if this is working. Let's hit the play button and let's run on sim. Oops, this is not working now because we have not stored this inside the cancelables. Okay, and I also want to do one thing over here. I'm going to make the status label. I want to hide this right at the start. And when I tap on the send email button, I want to hide this as well. However, upon the callback, I want to show the status label, all right, so that I can show whether this is successful or not. Okay, so let's do Command R to build this on the simulator one more time. And I have it's loaded right now, so let's bring up an article. Maybe let's get this one, G20. Copy this and let's open my email inbox. Let's paste this over here and let's see. Hit the send email button, and yeah, we have the send successful status label. So let's see whether it's showing up inside the inbox. Okay, oh, looks like it's showing up. Okay, so over here when I tap on this, it looks like we messed something up. It looks safe and easy to do anywhere, even on Swift. Okay, so where did we mess up? Let's come back here. Oh, over here, we forgot to change this to message. Okay, and maybe for the subject, let's make this a little bit more dynamic as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do message dot prefix, and I'm going to prefix the first 20 characters. Okay, so let's do Control I to re-indent this one more time, Command R to build this on the simulator. And let's find another text to play with. Okay, so let's come with, what's this? The debt situation is deteriorating. Okay, let's copy this, open up the simulator, and let's just paste this in again. And then let's open up my inbox. Okay, and let's hit the send email button one more time. And let's see, sent successfully. And let's wait for a little while on Gmail. Is it showing up? Do I need to refresh this? Let's do that anyway. Okay, so we got it over here, the debt situation. Okay, and let's tap on this. And yeah, we do receive basically the message inside over here. Alright guys, I'm not really sure why this is showing up. I believe it could be some other further configurations that's needed to make sure that we don't get into Gmail's spam filter. And alright guys, I think I've come to the end of the video, and I hope that you found this video useful. Again, please help me to leave comments so that this will trigger the YouTube algorithm. And when I see these comments, it makes me feel encouraged. And when I'm encouraged, I'm more inspired to do videos for you guys. So please help to hit the like button and leave some comments. And thank you very much for watching the video to the end. Cheers, and I'll see you in the next one.